Welcome everybody to OnPodcast, the On Microsoft podcast, where we talk about Microsoft stuff on a podcast. I am joined with the world's greatest co-host today,
Earth Bacchus.
and I'm Kareem Anderson, and we're going to be walking you through some news right before the long U.S. holiday weekend. We got tons of Windows and hardware news to talk about this week. So, just to get into it, we have Windows 11 launch was finally announced. We'll talk about that and how soon it's coming up.
And then there's also no Android app support in that, by the way, if you're wondering.
So if you just turned up the podcast, we don't begrudge
But we do have something for our second topic to talk about, which is Microsoft breaking Windows 11 entirely for like every Windows insider who installed the most recent build. And if it's still broken for you, we have a fix that we want to talk about.
So for those of you who couldn't even watch the podcast right now, we'll leave it up on YouTube so you can watch it later.
uh,
In addition to that, we also have the Windows Insider unsupported hardware controversy to discuss, and Microsoft just keeps making it harder and harder for us to understand who will be using Windows 11 and who will not.
and you're the Surface guy, and there's Surface news coming on September 22nd.
Yeah, we got some hope for new hardware, lots of new hardware actually. This could be an event on par when I think they released the Lumia 950. I think they had like six devices to run through that event. So I think we're getting up to four or five all in one big event.
And then we're skipping our fast recap this week because it's a holiday weekend and we want to get you out of here as soon as possible so you could go back to your barbecues and your family gatherings. So no fast recap and we're going straight to week ahead. And for the week ahead, we have some more Windows Insider news, some news about a Microsoft digital event, and something about Minecraft as well.
Yeah. With that being said, let's just get into it and get you guys back to your weekend. The Windows 11 launch is now official. Microsoft has come out and saying that it will be October 5th, and that with the launch of Windows 11, those of us who kind of bought into the whole Android App Store situation will have to wait a little bit longer. It's a new plan of attack they're going to have, where they're going to test it out over the coming months, meaning between now and December. Insiders will have a chance to try it out. I'm not holding my breath for it. I presume we'll probably see some testing in late November for it, and maybe they'll roll it out with some kind of spring update. They kind of did the two update system for Windows, so we may go back to that. And in the spring, maybe we'll get Android support. But as of now, anybody who's on the beta release of Windows 11, if you're an insider, that's pretty much what we're going to be
Yep.
getting come October 5th. So if you are still a little irked by some UI inconsistencies like myself and probably Paul Thurrott and all the rest of us Windows insiders, you're going to have to live with that. Unfortunately, there will not be this massive last minute at midnight update that comes out that fixes everything that we're all hoping for this one big launch. Uh, I mean, as you can kind of attest to, Eric, they've done a lot of work.
Yep.
I don't want to discredit that at all. It's a massive undertaking. Windows is always a living operating system, so we'll continue to see updates and continue to see features added to it and things like that. But for those of you who are hoping for a big Sur-esque type of rollout, we're getting what we're getting, and most of us have already had it for a while now.
And speaking of rollout, since this is a big major Windows update, it should work the same way that previous Windows 10 featured updates have worked. So just because they said it's hitting general availability on October 5th, it doesn't mean that you will necessarily get it on October 5th. They're taking a phased and measured approach to rolling out Windows 11. So you'll see a focus on quality where you won't experience bugs if when it's time to install Windows 11. They're basically rolling it out first to new PCs. I'm assuming from this year and maybe the year before and the year before that, and then everyone else should have Windows 11 by mid 2022, according to Microsoft. And they're using their own metrics in this decision on when to push Windows 11 to your device. They're considering your hardware eligibility, reliability metrics, and the age of your device. So again, Windows 11 has hit general availability, will hit general availability on October 5th, but it doesn't mean that you will have it by then. But if you do want to get it, you could actually join the Windows Insider program, and there's some news about that as well.
Yeah, just to kind of backtrack for one quick second about the rollout. This isn't new.
Yeah.
We've had this type of rollout with Windows 10 specifically, where they staggered the release based on device eligibility, upgradability, and specs as well. And I think this was a sort of mini controversy at the time as well, for people who had uh, bought Windows 8 devices and were looking to go to Windows 10, and some of them couldn't do it just because, even though it was only a 2 year gap between the device uh, uh, specs or whatnot. So again, Microsoft just kind of going back to the playbook that worked best in order to get Windows 10 to where it is today. And then one other thing too we had, which was uh, mentioning that we won't be getting the Android store,
Yeah.
but we are getting, I believe, a placeholder for Windows Subsystem for Android was spotted in the Microsoft Store recently. So we are inching closer to testing that out. So, like I said, probably between the next 3.5 months or so, we'll be getting it. Again, I would also hold my breath on this as well because, in reality, as cool as it sounds, I don't know how practical it'll be. And if it's still not a big sell on a Chromebook with Android. I don't know how much more of a sell it's going to be on a Windows PC with Android, but we should be getting it soon, I think, for us insiders.
Walking Cat was the one who mentioned that there was a placeholder for that on the Microsoft
Correct.
Store. So it seems like they're internally testing it, but they're not ready to roll it out just yet.
Well, the functionality is also based on what Amazon does because it's
Yeah.
basically copy and pasting what the Amazon store does. And I believe they're probably in the process of updating to Android 11, maybe 12, with
Yeah.
whatever kind of tweaks they need to make for their own internal usage. And once that's done, ironed out, tested, then Microsoft can take that code and bring it over to the store. So, uh, this is all dependent, and I believe Android will probably roll out Android 12, or I mean, Google will probably roll out Android 12 when they do their Pixels lineup in October. So, I would suspect that we'll start getting previews of it in late October.
And one more note about this Windows 11 thing. If you find yourself unable to run or upgrade to Windows 11, Microsoft keeps mentioning that quote unquote Windows 10 is still the right choice. So if you can upgrade to Windows 11 come October 5th, stay on Windows 10 because it will still be supported through October 2025.
That is absolutely correct. There's nothing wrong with Windows 10.
And Windows 10, Windows Insider program, get us into the problems that Microsoft did, where they basically broke Windows 11 for every Windows Insider out there.
Yeah. So for those of you still on Windows 10 who are frustrated about not getting to Windows 11, thank your lucky stars you didn't do it at least yesterday because many of us, like idiots, rushed out and grabbed the most recent build. And they had warned us, with all due respect, there was a note in, I believe, the dev version
Mhm.
saying that there is a bug related to the start menu, or yeah, the taskbar. So apologies, taskbar. They always warn us about lots of stuff, and for the most part, it doesn't affect most people. But this one in particular broke the taskbar. For those of you upgrading to, I believe, I don't know if I have the exact build number on here, but yesterday's build, the most recent build for both the beta and the dev channel releases, um, once you upgraded and reset your device, when you came back, unless you're like me, who clears out his entire desktop, I don't have icons, I don't have folders, anything. It's just a clear, clean backdrop. You were greeted with a desktop that didn't have a taskbar. In my instance, I had nothing. I had no way of knowing that it was working or not working. I had a blank wallpaper basically. And with that being said, you can't click into any menus to get started on doing any type of interactions with the GUI system essentially. So it was very frustrating, a little worrisome. I ran to Twitter on my phone, like most good insiders do, and I believe Zach Bowden started highlighting the issue, and there were people in the comment section of that tweet thread that were pointing to a Reddit user who had also started collecting and coalescing responses, about 200 or so at the time. I mean, it was like the first hour or so that I got into it, that already had 200 responses saying that their systems were also experiencing the exact same thing. Um, we don't know what caused it, but Microsoft eventually came out about 2.5, 3 hours later with the response, and they fortunately also had a fix as well. It wasn't just like, oh, we know it's broken, please don't use it. It was, we know it's broken, please don't use it. But if you have, you can do a set of 6 steps or so using the command prompt to get back to where you need to. Uh, I think you tried it, right? Work for you?
Yeah, they were saying to use command prompt and basically, let me check my notes here to tell you what they said. It was basically involving using Control Alt Delete and opening Task Manager, then using Task Manager to run a new task and open command prompt, and then turn off the Iris service and then reboot your system. And after you did that reboot and you entered that command, it would have put you back to where you were, where you had full control of the desktop and the start menu and everything else, and basically everything back to normal. And I tried that on 3 of my systems and it worked, but on one other system it didn't work, and there was a whole bunch of other workarounds. One of them was change the date, another one was to create a local profile and use that local profile, and then another one was to try and roll back via Windows Update. There was a lot of different ways to fix this, and some of them worked, some of them didn't work. But we suggest that if you're still having problems, to use the Microsoft fix and to use the Control Alt Delete Task Manager and Command Prompt fix to try and get it back. And I know you had the problem, and we were messaging back and forth when we were rushing to cover this about which way is right and which way is not right.
Yeah.
It was a huge mess, but I know you did some digging today, and it could quite have been caused by a Microsoft Teams ad.
Yeah, individual who writes for Control Blog, I believe. His name is Daniel Alexander Sanderson.
Alexandrian, yeah.
Alexanderson, I believe. And I apologize if I'm saying that incorrectly. Please let me know. Write it to me phonetically on Twitter, and I'll make the changes and adjust it. But he's saying that basically it was a embedded ad essentially that would prompt people to use or engage with Teams app that crashed the system, and it was on the server side. So it's not necessarily something that came in through the update itself, but that Microsoft servers, when connected to the update, would trigger this, and it would trigger it across the board for any systems that had this particular update. And I believe more specifically, it was a serialized JSON blob that was the
Yeah.
problem. And again, this is his speculation through his investigation. This isn't Microsoft officially announcing what the issue was, but based on what he breaks down, and we have it, we have a write up about it, and we link to his blog as well that we suggest you guys also read if you want, if you're a developer or anybody that's interested in that kind of stuff, to read all the specific details and just kind of give you the high level. Um, but based on his investigation of it, it makes a lot of sense. I think he was saying, "quote As I take a closer look at what got downloaded and caused the Windows desktop shell to the shell again to become unresponsive, the problem wasn't caused by an update delivered through the Windows Update. That would have been more understandable. Instead, it was caused by a small file downloaded by a Windows component called Iris Server, which you mentioned a second
Yep.
ago. Iris is a part of Windows Spotlight, the Bing wallpaper of the day, and tips, promotions, suggestions on the lock screen. Based on the Microsoft provided workaround, I narrowed the problem down to a registry key that contained a serialized JSON block. The block contained an advertisement for Microsoft Teams. The messaging and imagery in the promotions were identical to the panel you would get when you press the Windows plus Control or Windows plus C key on a Windows account not already set up with Teams. It's unclear if this is an expected promotion or an exact promotion, however. So like I said, this is part of Microsoft's push to get, I believe, what Paul Thurrott calls advertisement in Windows 10. I think it's just promotions of their own stuff. I mean, semantics, and it may have brought down Windows. So, we always joke about how Teams is a priority for them. Maybe too much at the moment right now. They need to just dial it back and let Windows breathe a little bit.
There's a saying that in history that we learned, and it's like the shot heard around the world. Now this is the ad heard around the world that basically crashed Windows, right?
Yes, this is going to give anybody who is an anti Windows having ads advocate or proponent more fuel to the fire. Like not only is it annoying and an invasion of privacy, depending on how you view it, but it can break the system. So Microsoft, you just shot yourself in the foot. Let's put the gun away for right now and think about what we just did.
I don't think you could put the gun away just yet because there's still some more controversy to get through, which is the whole third topic about the Windows Insider program and unsupported hardware. Now, if you've been keeping up with Windows 11 news, like we said at the top of the show, Windows 11 is hitting general availability on October 5th. And with that date, that means that if you were beta testing Windows 11 on unsupported hardware through the Windows Insider Dev channel, Microsoft doesn't want you to do that anymore. They want you to go buy a new PC and to get up to date with your system, right? So
Right,
what
easy.
they're pushing messaging through Windows Update itself. We'll have the image on the screen. It's a little box that's telling you that your PC is no longer supported and that you need to downgrade back to Windows 10. So it's pretty much some bad news for Windows insiders who've been testing builds for the last 6 years. Now they're all of a sudden left out if they don't have Intel 8 Gen or Intel 7 Gen or AMD Ryzen and the whole TPM and the whole secure boot thing ready to go on their PCs.
Yeah, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that our own editor in chief, Kip, had to actually go back and forth with,
Yep.
I believe it's Brandon LeBlanc, or is that his
Yep.
name? On Twitter, and I'm sure you guys find the thread somewhere, where they had to, he was explaining that in the details, Kip was explaining in the details of what was originally in the blog, it makes no mention of any of this stuff. It was
Yep.
very vague about it. And so, Microsoft has since then come back and kind of given more details about how this is going to roll out. Because again, previously they just kind of said like, hey, you're free to test it, but you just won't be supported. Versus we're going to kick you off. Those are two very distinct outcomes. And the going to kick you off thing was, it's going to be upsetting for a lot of people, as you mentioned, especially if you've been testing Windows 10 and 11 so far. There's no reason why you should be kicked off. Really, again, unsupported, totally understandable. Kicked off, very different thing.
And this also means that technically, in the like you said, in the thread that Kip had with Brandon, you could still stay on Windows 11 up until October 5th. But after that point, you will no longer get any cumulative updates or security updates, and your PC will be at threat for all these hackers and this bugs and other issues that come up with using Windows 11 Windows day to day while it's unsupported. So you could stay on it up until October 5th, but after October 5th, you have to go back to Windows 10 one way or another. And this is only about the dev channel, just to be clear. They haven't really mentioned anything about the beta channel, and that's something that Kip and I were going back and forth about. This whole situation is yet another mess for Microsoft. They need to find a way to come clean and to clean it up and explain here is if you're on dev channel, this is what you need to do. If you're on beta channel, this is what you need to do, and set it straight, because a lot of people seem to be confused right now about what really is going on.
Well, I think they need to take some time to separate the, oh, look at the cool rounded corners and
Yeah,
inbox apps to
right.
do the boring stuff of explaining the security upgrades that are beneficial and that are or could be detrimental to people's usage. So if you know exactly why and how secure it's supposed to be, then you'd be more forgiving on like, okay, why this is why I can't upgrade to it. Right now, it seems like it should work just fine after October 5th or whatever. So it doesn't make sense to people. But if you tell them these are the security protocols that come with the code, and Windows 10 doesn't have them, the way Windows 10 is currently written, this is why we can't do what we need to do with it. So this is why we're going to have to kick you back down to it. This is where you're fully supported, fully protected for these things in Windows 10, and we're trying to get people in Windows 11 protected for those things and more. So it's not as flashy. It's not as cool to have an event about that. Panos probably doesn't get pumped about that kind of stuff, but I think it's necessary for Microsoft's messaging to keep hammering that up until October 5th so people understand why they're going to have to go back down to Windows 10.
You mentioned Panos there, and for our fourth topic, we're hopping over to Panos's favorite thing, which is Surface. And Microsoft officially came out and announced there would be a Microsoft event on September 22nd. And if you look at the teaser image very carefully, you will see that there is a type cover and there is a Surface with the kickstand extended out. So does that mean we're getting a Surface Pro 8 finally?
Yeah, I mean, I want to put on my like Apple hat where people kind of like try and read the tea leaves in these messages, and but Microsoft is pretty straightforward with this. There's nothing to kind of misconstrue about this. We're going to either get an update to the Pro lineup, which includes the Pro X or the Surface Pro 7, moving to 8, or we're going to get a Surface Go, because those are all three of the same exact form factor. The only difference is that in this image, it looks like it's a pretty large device. It could be perspective. It could just be a zoom in on the Surface Go 3. But either way, we're at least getting one of those detachables upgraded this year. And I would, I was in the comment section earlier during another podcast, the Windows Century podcast, and asking about if they skip the Pro 7 because we got this Pro 7 Plus as an upgrade in January, but I was reminded that it is a business device.
Yeah.
So really, even though consumers could purchase it, it's a business device. Consumers haven't had an upgrade for the Pro lineup in over a year and a half, I think. So it's due. And now the hope is, do we get the design from the Pro X this year for the Pro? Do they round out the corners? Do they make it thinner? Is there any way to do are they going to do the i5 fanless version again this year? They upgrading the LTE? Are they bringing 5G in there? They finally reducing the bezels because people have been begging for it? Do they, strengthen the kickstand? All of these things would make for a great reveal on the 22nd.
And there's still a bunch of other stuff that we
Oh
didn't
yeah, I
get
was gonna
to
let you
yet,
get into
which is
that.
the
Yeah.
rumored Surface Laptop Pro, quote unquote, because that's apparently what they're thinking of calling it, according to Windows Central, with the RTX graphics and the new iPad Pro kind of like keyboard thing that's going on. So that's another thing that we could expect. And then also Surface Duo 2, which we talked about last week, which appeared on Geekbench and where we saw the mock-ups and the leaked what is it, a leaked hardware model or a leaked sample unit or whatever it was,
I,
where they
I want to
had,
say it's a league sample unit that
yeah,
had the
the
updated
camera
camera
bump,
module.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, those are two other things to think about. And then you hinted about the Gold 3, which also appeared on Geekbench and appeared on Geekbench again today on the day we're filming it, which is September 3rd. So again, it seems like we're definitely getting a couple of things here. We're getting the Surface Go 3, we're getting the Surface Duo 2, we're getting a refreshed Surface Book model, which could be called the Surface Laptop Pro, and we might be getting a Surface Pro 8 as the surprise.
Yeah, and I mean, not to mention, there's still the Surface Laptop Go
Yeah,
that debuted last year, and
last year.
to keep pace with Chromebooks, they may introduce the same exact model with a cheaper price and a better processor, keep everything the same, or they may make some tweaks to it and still, hopefully, ideally, keep the price the same or not lower. So, again, as I mentioned earlier, we have a laundry list of Surface devices that could show up. We could have as many as I think it's six, like I said, Laptop Go, Pro, Pro X, Duo 2, Laptop Pro, uh, and the various and the laptop. What did I say? There's one other one, but we could have all of those, or we could have none of those. We could have just the Duo 2 maybe, and then they say we'll wait for the stuff the rest of the year. We also don't know if they're even just going to do a Surface Book 4. I know that Windows Central has got everyone kind of keeping their eyes on this new Pro model or something, but they could just come around and surprise everybody with a beefier processor, a streamlined, more design for what they've already been working on for the past 4 years, and just go with the Surface Book 4 and call it a day.
I have the feeling that this event will end up being like the last event that they had before the pandemic hit, where they revealed the Surface Duo and then also the Neo, and then the Surface Laptop. I think yeah, it was Surface Laptop 2, or was it a 3? No, it was a 3 and the Surface Earbud. So for some reason,
Oh
I
yeah,
have a
it
feel. I have
about
a feeling that
accessories,
this is going to be a very big event.
they are due for some upgrades to the earbuds, upgrades to the headphones as well. So, I mean, it could be a very packed event. Hopefully, we're all hoping for. Why not go spend some more money this year?
And that said, that is our last main topic, which means it's time now for week ahead.
Yeah, we have some information as we were kind of talking. This is a very Windows heavy podcast this day. We have a divide in the Windows Insider program, and I think it's as devs move back to the release preview,
Yep.
and and this is kind of the divergence between um, what the I guess beta version of Windows 11 will be, and what will maintain as upgrades, and where the rest of us adventurers will go off into the sunset trying, other stuff that'll probably brick our systems.
And then, other than that, we also have a Microsoft Digital Hybrid Work event, which is coming up on September 9th. I expect this to be mainly just like a recap of all the new teams and all the new Microsoft 365 stuff that's coming out for the holiday season and for early next year. So look out for that as well.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty cool event. Probably stuff about SharePoint and some Azure stuff as well, because everything's in the cloud when you're digital now.
And other than that, we also have a Minecraft Live event coming up on October 16th. Now, I am not the biggest Minecraft fan, but there are
That
people out there.
Minehead, or what do they call them?
that that's your name, Minehead One. So maybe I should let you handle this.
I have no idea. I mean, I can do from what we know about it, basically, is that it'll be October 16th as a live stream. The event will be on the Minecraft website and on YouTube. And they're promising lots of fun Minecraft themed activities. So, kind of picture it as a Gamescom just solely on Minecraft, though. The great thing is there's no RSVPs needed. I don't know how you do that at a digital event, which means anyone is free to watch in their own time. And again, it's going to be on YouTube, so don't if you missed the live stream, it'll still be up there to watch later on. Mojang is promising that the event will include in-depth interviews, exciting reveals, and a nail-biting vote. I don't know what the vote is on because I haven't played Minecraft, but I did venture in and play Dungeons for a little bit. That was super fun, and I know that they're continually updating that one. So if the main Minecraft story is anything like that, I'm sure you guys have tons of fun and information about it. If you follow our writing on it, there's also a link to the announcement trailer. So I mean, you'll probably glean more information from what the trailer has than what I'm explaining right now. But Minecraft, Mojang's put together the fun video, which is teasing the event. They're recalling last year's event, which happened, I believe, October 3rd. So again, for any of you who were there last year, this is becoming obviously a yearly thing. So maybe you guys can let us know what happens at these events, and maybe we should drop in and at some point in the future do one of those like like a live recap
Live,
as
yeah.
live streams, reaction videos for this.
I know what my reaction would be boring because I'm not a Minecraft fan.
It could be fun. Like, I mean, if you play Dungeons, it's pretty fun.
If you say so, I'll believe you. I'll fire up my Xbox
Says the
tonight and
man who
play
does Flight Simulator.
Minecraft.
I'm sure the Minecraft people will be like Flight Simulator.
And on that note, we got through all of our topics, and we thank you for watching. This has been our 48th episode, and we've now been doing this for 1 year now. So it's all thanks to you guys, and thanks to everyone that has been watching us.
Yeah, and sponsors, get at us. We would love tons of free stuff and money. With
Exactly.
that being said, you can reach me at Mindhead1 on Twitter. Where can people reach you?
A back journ.
Yeah, and again, for all really breaking news, which as of late has been a lot because Microsoft keeps messing up. You can read all of that on Twitter as well at on Microsoft, or you can go to our website on Microsoft.com, where we'd love to have you. Respond in comments and stuff too as well. We're thinking about expanding this, going into our second year of doing this. We want to again, we always kind of ask people to be more interactive with us. We want to be more interactive with you guys. So we're thinking about maybe doing a listener Q&A section that we can kind of tack onto the end of this. So if you guys have any questions about any news during the week, We'll see if we can find some place for you guys to ask that and for us to answer it here on this podcast.
Yep, everyone. And as always, thanks for watching and see you again soon. Same place, same time.
So enjoy your barbecues or your weekends. And for those of you outside of the US, enjoy the weekend anyway.
All right, everyone. Take care.